Hola, buenos días, soy Nico.
A man has always wanted to lay me down, but he never wanted to pick me up. And the men that did have real love and affection for me were the ones that never touched me.
And today we're here to start off another wonderful week's worth of content. Well, yes. And it's funny because last week's video is actually going to lightly bleed into this video. You're going to see in a split second, but before we get started, if you like this kind of content, make sure to follow me on patreon.com/Nicosaesthetics for more exclusive videos, weekly live streams with a multifaceted panel and an arrangement of topics. If that sounds interesting to you, definitely tune in. But before we get started, this week's comment. Jacobe is going to be going on a rant in 3, 2, 1. That's the thing. I've gotten past the whole Jacobe thing. I'm more so covering still what he willingly puts online. So, in theory, he still has me blocked. So if he is ranting or raving, I don't necessarily notice it. It's more so if I see people are talking about a topic, I'll just look into it. It's that simple. I honestly do not have anybody whose page I check religiously to see if they're talking smack. I mean, if there's like content creators that I enjoy, sometimes I go to their page to see if they post new content, but to see if they're shading me, I don't care that much. But let's get on to the video. Today, we're going to be talking about the spectrum of sexuality. Nico, it's interesting because last week's video about Timothy Champange actually bleeds into this one. I'll get his portion out of the way very quickly, seeing as how I did a video on him already. Basically, he was called out for gay baiting because a few years ago, he basically said that he was not gay, he will never be attracted to men, it's just not in him. And then as of late, he was called out once again for saying he made millions being a gay content creator. And when those tweets resurfaced, a lot of people came into my mentions saying, but he dated a man, he's really bisexual. And then Timothy came out and said that was all a publicity stunt. Nico, I'll insert the video. He said that he is bisexual and is only physically attracted to men and wants nothing to do with them emotionally or romantically. And he said those previous relationships that you saw him post on social media were all fake and used as PR to get the heat off of him for gay baiting.
Hands off of doing gay porn, but I'm not gay and I have a girlfriend. Do I consider that gay baiting? Well, first off, I don't. I'm bisexual, but it's funny because some old tweets of mine have resurfaced from like 5 years ago saying that I was straight because I thought I was. It just took me time to differentiate what I'm romantically interested versus what I'm not romantically interested in. I'm not romantically interested in men. I've never dated a guy. However, I have pretended to before. That might be considered gay baiting a little bit. Sorry for that. But the truth of the matter is, if you're making content with somebody very frequently, everybody says you're dating anyways, even if you say you aren't. And I've never actually dated a guy, despite a lot of people thinking I have. I've always just dated women. That's all I've ever really been interested in, actually dating. Of course, I like being physical with guys, but you gotta understand at like a certain point, is acting and it's for entertainment purposes only. I'm a monogamous person by default. I don't really like hooking up with other people like that. I really only do it for work. At this point, I've been doing this 6 years. I mostly just appreciate the art of it and making, content people like to see. Obviously, I like making money too, right? Who doesn't? You all have jobs. But like, I am serious when I say like, I just appreciate the art of it. I put a lot of work into my body. I work out all the time. I'm on like a strict diet. Like I want to show that off. And I like being a sexual person anyway, so it kind of lines up perfectly. And anything that I can do that I can make money like directly off my body, I'm going to be doing it. I just don't see the point of like criticizing something as silly as porn in that way. On Twitter, I've been getting a lot of hate. A lot of people calling me gay baiter. It's porn. Like, who really cares? Do you think straight women in the industry like getting 7 dudes at once? It's just acting. Most of them don't actually like that. They're doing it for a paycheck. You guys understand that, right? Like, I don't mean to sound patronizing, but a lot of people online can just be really naive and get really caught up in the fantasy of porn. Like, yeah, we're trying to put on a fantasy, but even knowing that we're just putting on a show, like, you should still be able to enjoy it. And if you can't still enjoy it after knowing that fact, I've said this before, I do think you're pretty immature. Like, porn isn't real, it's a fantasy. Understand that, and I think you'll understand why I think gay baiting calling me a gay baiter anyway is silly. Anyway, peace out.
So, in a way, he was gay baiting by faking actual romantic interest in men to secure more dollars to his content. But he is sexually attracted to them. And that's where it gets murky for me, because we're about to go on to a conversation about bisexuality on a spectrum of simple sexual attraction. But the fact that tweets came out saying that you will never be attracted to men, you're not attracted to men, that you're straight, and that you've had multiple girlfriends while filming, like even when those fake PR relationships were going on, he was in relationships with women. So if you're telling me that an entire aspect of your sexuality was fake and for PR and trying to get more money, it's going to be hard for me personally to believe that you're actually bisexual rather than just doing it for the money. Once again, when it comes to Timothy, he's in an interesting position, such as I'm not upset with him for making content, for the sole fact that he actually gets down and makes the content. He will sit down, record a scene, edit it. Yes, after that video, it came out that he has faked allegedly a few bottoming scenes. A lot of people were in his OnlyFans comments saying, I can't believe you scammed me. I can't believe you didn't actually film this production, that you and this other straight content creator basically faked the funk trying to get money out of us. But overall, he does do topping. He does do actual, super happy adult fun time on camera, and he sells you a full product. So I can't sit up here and be upset that he's making the content and people are subscribing. It's more so when you're lying, such as, oh yes, I love men on all aspects. I've been in relationships with content creators. And he tried to brush it off with a simple, oh, well, if you collaborate with somebody often enough, they're just going to assume you're dating anyway. So I just lied about it. I don't agree with that. And it makes me question the entire shtick you're pitching to everyone else. But once again, I'll insert that video, let y'all decide, and we can move on to the next conversation. Now we're going to actually get on to somebody who is on the sexuality spectrum. Basically, his screen name is All the Ladies Love Jay, so I'm just going to call him Jay. Jay went under fire because basically he made a tweet complaining about how men were sliding into his DMs and flirting with him and being romantic, and he just wanted you to bring out that peace. Nico, he wanted you to bring out that Peen. Basically saying that he's not gay and he doesn't want to be romantic with y'all. He just wants them pipe. And that he's not actually attracted to men. Editing Nico, I just wanted to add in, I hate it when straight aligning men of any spectrum of the sexuality consider flirting or a compliment as harassment. If someone is respectfully coming to you, knowing that you suck peen as content, assuming that you're on the sexuality spectrum, and they simply flirt with you, that is not harassment. If they're disrespectful, if they're rude, if they do not respect your boundaries, that's one thing. But if I see you throw in peen, I'm going to assume you're one of the girls. So I'm going to flirt if I find you attractive. That's not harassment. But continuing. And people begin to look at him sideways, basically saying, what do you mean you're not gay or bisexual and that you're straight, but you love sucking peen? It doesn't make sense. And at first it threw me for a loop too. I thought it was one of those contradictory things where people try to get clout off of, yeah, I'm straight. I just like suck a little peen on the side. Sexuality is a spectrum. And, I always say one experimental session does not make you gay or bisexual. Such as throughout puberty, your hormones are raging. You're trying to see where you truly align, especially in that sense, because you're getting a firm grasp of your sexuality. Because I didn't even realize I was bisexual until puberty, because I had only dated girls, and then I was like, oh, men are attractive as well. So in that sense, I understand, okay, I messed around with a guy or two. It wasn't necessarily for me, and I moved on. Perfectly fine. You saying you casually sucking peen, but you don't align on any of that spectrum, that's where I have fault. Because I'm like, at the end of the day, you can't just casually sleep with men and then be like, but I'm straight because I don't really like it. I just do it because I do it. But then he went on further to explain, because people kept lighting him up, basically saying, why are you mad that this person slid in your Snapchat and tried to send you photos and flirt with you? And you were like, well, I just wanted to see your peen. I didn't necessarily want to see your face. I don't want to flirt with you. I don't want to know your name. Just whip it out. And he went on later to basically say it's not necessarily the fact that the peen is attached to a man. Such as I discovered I liked sucking peen through trans women because it was just something I like to do. So seeing as how that is attached to the body of a woman. I love everything about women. I like dating women. I find women sexually attractive. I just casually like the action of sucking peen. So whether it's attached to a trans woman or whether it's attached to a man, I'm not looking at the total package. I simply like the action. Editing Nico again, I wanted to add on that when he was talking about how he started off sucking trans women and how he just naturally gravitated to men because they also have that piece, a trans woman actually came out and broke it down for him a little bit more, basically saying, I understand, but my only disagreement is that if another trans girl came up to me and was like, hey, I want to get at you, I wouldn't be interested because I like the package of a man, not a woman. So wouldn't it necessarily mean that you have a slight more attraction to men than you would actually care to acknowledge? And he was getting angry and saying, no, that's ignorant and blah, 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 kind of dismissing her. But I kind of see where she's coming from, because she's like, I like throwing too. Nothing wrong with slobbing on some knob. But at the end of the day, I like men. So I do it with men. I don't want to slob on another trans girl. So why would you want to slob on a man if you're not interested in men in any aspect? So I just wanted to add that in because that was an interesting counter argument. And that made me really sit back and think, because it's true. When you sit down and think about it, it doesn't necessarily matter who it's attached to. It's just the action and the actual shape of it that he enjoys. So when it's attached to a trans woman, oh, I love every aspect of it. But when it's attached to a man, I just like doing the action. It doesn't necessarily mean I find men attractive. It doesn't mean that I want to date men. It's just I learned while experimenting with a trans woman that I enjoy the action of, slobbing on a knob. So when I sat down and think about it like that, I'm like, that is an interesting perspective, seeing as how it can apply. It can apply. So in his situation, I genuinely feel like people were just on Jay's neck for the sole fact that he went about it the wrong way. Like, you can't lean into the I'm not gay and y'all don't know me and y'all can't judge me. That's why y'all mama's dead. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, you had me in the first half because they have rightful questions about something you made public. Because no one else made you come online and put that boy on blast for trying to flirt with you and you just wanted to see his peen. You did that. You the one that kept going into detail in tweets explaining yourself to bitches online that don't matter, and then you getting mad and calling them slurs. I can't co-sign that. But with this information at hand, I'll leave the conversation up to y'all. How do y'all feel about Timothy Champange basically coming online saying, yes, I lied about being in relationships with men. Yes, I only date women. But yes, I do enjoy making the content I make with men. How do you feel about Jay, who came online and said, I actually learned I enjoyed sucking peen through getting involved with trans women. And now it doesn't necessarily matter who it's attached to. I just like the action, but that does not mean I actually like men sexually and or romantically. But I'll leave the conversation up to y'all. Boop. And now for a brief yet sincere shout out to this week's Third Eye Tier subscribers, Kiana R. and Regriff. Your continued support is greatly appreciated, and thank you once again to everyone who supports the channel. And this week's live stream discussion will be over random collabs that don't necessarily fit aesthetics and or brands and seem to catch people's audiences off guard. If that sounds interesting to you, definitely tune in.